Hi guys, my name is Kumiho, and I am a old Kartrider player. I've been playing Kartrider when I was young, and I've been back in this game like 1 year ago. Purpose of this video is for those English viewers who wants to find out more about the techniques we use in the speed mode. There are there are videos on YouTube made by those Korean pro players or like top tier players. they it is very good, but in case you want to learn in English or get a bit of theory how those techniques are done, so this is the purpose of that. I want to teach you guys the basic theory and how the technique is actually going. So this video I'm gonna talk about 9 different parts. Those are stoppers, drift, short drift, full drift, short full drift, cutting drift, start cutting, optimized drift, and 2 boosters. I'm gonna go one by one in this video and teach you how it's done. So start boost is actually pretty easy. So what you're trying to do is you press the forward button when your countdown comes to 0. This is how it looks like. That's it. That is a start boost. There we go. You learn one of the technique. Okay, so I'm gonna keep continue and teach you more about the drift. Very basic drift is done by forward and the way you wanna drift tilt in, then shift. Always remember you tilt first, then press the shift button. So you tilt and shift. This is the basic drift. And you can use a short booster right after the boost drift when it's about to be finished. So when the drift is about to finish, you can push the forward button again and you will get a short amount of boost to recover those speed you lost during the drift. And now there are 2 drift techniques I want to teach you, and those are the short drift and the full drift. The short drift is a drift you do press the tilt button and the shift at the same time, like that. Let me show you how it's done. So I continue. Okay, so this is how it's done. Short. Did you see that? So you can actually do a short drift. You can still your body's still tilting, but you are drifting as well. So this is the short drift. And full drift is what we usually do. Full drift is just you press the shift button long enough that your body is tilting into the U-turn. This is a full drift. And now I'm gonna teach you something called a short full drift. It's basically a short drift and full drift put in together. So short drift comes first and the full drift comes later. This technique is widely used when the card has a lesser speed, or in the situation you're about to get into corner, but then you have that short amount of booster gauge, it hasn't filled up. So you want to go short drift and full drift to get a 2 booster, or you don't want to waste the booster, it's gonna be gone. This is how it's done. You short drift and full drift in. Simple, right? Short, full. In the time attack mode, this is not really convenient, but then in the multiplayer mode, in the Kartrider drift, it has a slightly less the booster gauge fill-ups compared to time attack, so you want to use these techniques to get those extra part of the booster gauge. And most of the time you're using with the booster, so you can try with your booster on all the time. And as you can see, my angle is way deeper and way narrow compared to the other drift. So this is the drift. You eventually collapse or get into the wrong angle, but with the short drift, you can actually get into angle you want to. Let me just go back to the map and show you how it's done again. Okay, on the other direction. 1, 2, 6, short, full drift. Oh god. Okay, that was too thin. Okay. So as you can see, the drift is a lot narrow compared to the other drift. So as you can see, the line is a lot narrow compared to the other drift. I'm repeating it because that's one of the points of this drift. And now it's a cutting. What is cutting? It's also called a cutting drift or just by cutting. Basically, you cut your drift in the middle of the drift. So why you want to use it? We usually use it in the straight lane. With this technique, you can actually drift in the middle of the straight lane. How it's done, the basic theory is you press the forward button, tilt, shift, then shift back again with the counter button, obviously. Okay, I'm gonna show you again. So you drift, counter, shift, drift, counter, shift. Counter shift usually comes in a very soon after the drift. Okay, this is not really a good place to demonstrate it, so I'm gonna go into the straight lane and show you how it's done. Okay, this corner you can see your card goes back to the position once you use the cutting. So as I said before, it's about the shift and shift. You're using your shift to cut the drift in the middle, and you put your body back with the counter button on it. So shift, counter, shift, shift, counter, shift. You have to do it in very fast, or you can just look at my keypad to get the actual timing. So okay, so now it's drift, counter. So as you can see, my body turns back to the straight lane right after drift. So this is a cutting drift. So where else we can use cutting? We use it at the very beginning of the game. Why? Because with the start boost and the cutting, you are likely to get a 1 booster at the beginning of the game. That is a huge advantage. It actually brings you a better speed, and there is a build you need to use it. And what I'm saying is you need to use this at the every game or every map or every whatever situation. This is the basic start of all the maps. Okay, let me show you how. So, oh wait, the theory. So how it's done? Very simple. You tilt, shift, cut, but after you drift, you want to put your forward finger off for a bit, then cut, then put your finger back on to get that short boost and keep going on. Okay, it sounds a bit difficult, so let me show you how by playing the actual game. Please do watch carefully on the forward button, which is the keypad on the video. Watch it carefully. So as you can see, I put my forward button off between the drift and the cutting. This somehow brings you more drift and the booster gauges at the beginning of the game only. Don't use it in the middle of the game, because you use it wrong, you will collapse your body right into the wall. So this is how you use it. Please do practice over and over and over again because you need this technique to start off the game. Okay, I slightly lowered volume for this part because this part needs a bit of explanation and this is very important. So this technique I'm going to talk about now is the optimized drift. What is optimized drift? It is a drift somewhere between a thin drift and a thick drift. Thick drift means you're doing a way much full drift. Thin drift is doing not much a drift on it. So this is your kart. Let's imagine this is your kart. We want to have a kart going in a very beautiful arc angle, right? Arch angle. How are we gonna achieve it? Very simple. If you think your drift is too thick, press the counter button to get your body tilt back and put it into the right position, but still drifting. This is the key. The counter button is key for this optimized drift. Let me show you how it's done. Oh, not in this map. Sorry about that. So, as I said before, this is really important technique because you use it in most of the corners and most of drift are actually done by this optimized drift. To practice this, I would recommend a harbor map. Give me a minute. To practice this technique, I would say cobbled will be the best. Okay, so let me show you how it's done. That is a simple optimized drift, not perfect, but let me show you why it's called optimized drift. As you can see, my skid lane, it never collapsed, right? It never collapsed. It's a parallel. That actually proves that you are using a optimized drift. Look at my keypad carefully. I do use the counter button to get my body tilt back into the right position. Shift, counter, and if you do that, you'll see a very, very beautiful skid line over from there to here. So my drift starts from here, going in, but very straight, right? It's not like a full drift. The drift is actually pretty straight, which means you will not gonna lose a much speed compared to the other drift. This is very important because this game is mainly about not losing much speed during the game, so this technique helps you a lot with it. Please do practice, and when you're practicing, please do look at your skid lane. If it doesn't collapse and looks like you are going a lot more forward-ish than the other drift, there you go, you got your optimized drift. But there's one more way you can check it. That linked straight to our last bit of this video as the 2 boosters. So what is 2 boosters? 2 boosters is very simple. In theory, when you're using your optimized drift, you're somewhere between a very thick drift and the thin drift, so you're in the middle, which means if you counter one more in the middle of drift, the drift stops. So once you get your first boost and you want to stop, press the counter button, then drift again in the exact same direction. So you got it here. The first drift gives you the first booster and the second drift will give you the second booster. Let me show you how. To practice this technique, you want to be a bit of slight corner, so I do recommend the Bayside Bridge run for this technique. You want to use it at the second corner, not in the first corner, but in the second corner. Let me show you how. start as usual. One stop, second booster. See? You got your one booster and the second booster coming in. So with this technique, you can get two booster. One more booster. So now I end up having two boosters at the beginning of the bridge. So this helps a lot. And why I'm saying this also proves that you're using optimized, because as I said before, optimized drift is somewhere between very thick or very thin lane. So if you can stop your drift with a counter button, which means you're using optimized boost, because this will not likely to work on the full drift or like a short drift. And make sure you are on booster when you're doing this. It will not likely to work without the booster. Okay, so that's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I do stream on Twitch. Usually it's the evening time in GMT +7. So I'm actually planning to make more videos about the Kartrider. Once the closed beta finishes, I'm gonna go back to the old Kartrider and still explain how the game goes. Please do hit the like button if you loved it, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.